Hello guys, my name is Immaculate and this is my story. In the year 2023, on October 7th, which I can never forget, I got married through my dream wedding and I was so excited, and my partner was also so excited. But unfortunately, in the course of those from October to 2024 April, which marks it the 6 months, unfortunately I had to experience a divorce. My reasons, actually, if I'm truly being honest with you, at first I wasn't ready to come out with a story because I was convinced when I come up with this story, it will affect the rest of my life. When maybe if I remarry again or I get married again, this story will be online, it will affect my life there. You're getting it? When I'm maybe in my 80s, even when I'm in my 50s, my 40s, or even when I remarry again, it will affect for the rest of my story. And the second reason, I remember, I was called with some pastors. They told me I should not share this story because the moment I share it, I will affect my ex-husband's name because he's also a pastor, he's also a minister. So he'll be pulled because of all these reasons. Many things might happen on the way. So I decided actually to keep quiet with it for a while. The other reason was, if I go out with this story, it will ruin my ex-husband's reputation, because when people get to hear about this story, they may like push him aside or away. So they told me this is a man of God, an anointed man of God. The moment I go out with this story, it might not get to achieve what God made him to achieve. So my work was to cover him. You see, to cover him, to cover what everything happened in my marriage. Actually, unfortunately, I was told even not to share it with my family. I was only told to share it with my father and my sisters. But the rest of my relatives, they should not have known this story. And for some times, actually, about the story that they were telling me, that's why I had to keep silent for it. It has been 8 months since the whole thing happened, the separation, went through the divorce process and everything. It has been 8 months. But I kept asking myself one question. Like, yes, I've kept quiet with this story. What happens to the next victim? The next person this guy gets to marry, what will happen to them? And at first, I remember it was on a Saturday when a particular lady gave me a call. And then she told me, Emma, my name is this, and I wanted to tell you, I've been where you are before. Where you are right now, I've been there before. Then actually it was quite interesting since I don't know the lady. And I'm like, what makes you say this? Or what is that you have gone through that you're trying to refer also back to me? And the lady told me, my ex-husband, they had a relationship. And they were blessed with a child. In that meeting with the pastors, when they were talking, giving me the reasons why I should not go public with this news. Actually, I was told me not to share with my family. I think I've said that before. Also with my friends surrounding me, I should not say anything. I should just die inside, keep quiet with it, and carry it to the grave. And for sometimes, actually, about the story, I was like willing to do that, to protect him. But I kept asking myself one question. Do you want to tell me God allowed me to get married to this guy for only 6 months? And then we divorce? And then that's the story? It kept ringing in my mind like, I don't think that could be God's reasons. I tried actually trying to look for the traces of God in this story of 6 months. Trying to look, where is God here? Why is God here? Did God just allow me and said, Immaculate, I'm giving just 6 months in this marriage? I don't believe God is happy when you go in pain in marriages or in relationships. I felt my ex-husband, it was more important and being protected for them because they were doing their level best to protect him. He is the one who seems to be important in this. Here, you know, myself, I was just a side piece, just piece of the story, and the way I saw it, I don't matter. My story doesn't matter. because this is a man of God, I should protect him. And then I remember one of the pastors made a statement and told me, Immaculate, God allowed you to be your ex-husband's wife for a reason. Your role in that marriage before is to protect him. So you should, even when you're not together, you should live on protecting him. They try to do is convince me to go out with this story. And the word they were using more is a man of God. What will God say if he's exposed, or if this such thing comes out or gets to happen? I know there is other young people out there going through what I went through. And if I'm being honest with you, getting out of marriage, it's not an easy thing. How do you go and tell people after 6 months of marriage, or let me just say, how do I face my father? How do I face my family? Like, you guys, you came for my celebration 6 months ago, but now I'm done. It's not an easy thing. It's something I thought, I rethought, I kept on thinking about it. And every time I could want to get out, I'm like, my God, what will people say? And surprisingly, this one chance, I didn't just start giving them in marriages. I started giving them in relationships. That's where they all started. But it's like they're now accumulating. The more you give someone a chance, the more actually they graduate in making you suffer. We dated for 2 years. He's the one who came up with the idea. And I had known him. I met my ex-husband on Facebook. We met on Facebook. This time, I'm just like, just at home doing totally nothing. Then I'm going through my chats, and I see a DM pops. And then I see this guy. He's like, hey, hi, how are you? My name is this and this and that. And I wanted to say hi. I'm like, hey, how are you? So we kept talking, and the conversation was actually interesting because he was type of a person you listen to is interesting, because when it comes to things of God, to ministry, to Bible, my God, is too deep. And then my side, I always wanted a man of God. I've always dreamt of marrying a minister. Even sometimes my dad could make a joke. You need to be a pastor, would you? you know. So I saw an ideal guy. Let me say a dream come true. For me, what I thought at that time. And then we planned for a meeting. We met up in Kitengela. And actually, it was interesting. It was quite interesting. We talked, we shared. Let me say, it was actually the first person I ever felt I can share things I've never shared. I tell you, my God, I was falling in love. At that time, I remember my dad was very sick, so we couldn't talk. Actually, I cried. He was there pampering me, I'm sorry, this and that. So, yeah, I went home. Days and months passed. We stayed for friends for 7 months before we decided to date. Though we could go to ministry together, he could invite me where he was ministering. Every place we could go, we could be sent together. And I remember some pastors could be like, hey, you guys, you look like husband and wife. So you see, the moment you hear such a thing, an idea popped in your minds. The red flags were there, plenty of them. But one mistake I did, I kept on making excuses for them. You know, like I remember, there is this day, we went to a place, and we were talking. And then my question was, I want to know much about you. Tell me something I've never told someone else. So he shared a story of whereby he was dating this ex of his, and he cheated on his ex. Wow. Okay, my next question was, did you regret anything? He's like, oh yeah, I regretted. It's very wrong to do this. It had bad impact in my last relationship with her. It didn't end well. You know? And then I'm like, okay, did you learn anything? And then he's like, yeah, I've learned. Cheating kills relationships. and it can end marriages and everything. So the way he was reasonable about it, it convinced me as a changed man. And then I was sure, you'll never do this again. I ignored a lot. And the reason why I kept like, I could do this, I overlook it. Could do that, overlook it, because my ex-husband, my God, he had a beautiful tongue. He will convince you. I tell you, like this chair, it's black. He'll convince you this is white and you'll believe it. And then he'll convince you, babe, this will never happen. I'm sorry, I'm learning. When we were dating, we knew each other for 7 months. I saw he's an ideal guy. And I'm that type of a person who I've always wanted to date. It leads in marriage, to date with a purpose. At least when you see someone admitting something, it's because they have learned something from that. Yeah, so I bought the story. And now here we are together. Now, oh my God. Now this is the first time in my life I've ever seen a big red flag. And actually, some people who cares about me tells me about it. But I ignored it. I'm like, okay, it affected me. And actually broke up with him for the first time. Now, let me give a short story so that you can understand, and the rest of the people can understand where I'm coming from. I met this guy after a few months of dating. I was worshiping in a certain church in Kitengela. I was a youth leader. And I'm the type of a person who loves worship experiences. So I came up with a worship experience. And I called guys. I invited him to be a worship minister because he's very awesome and perfect with that. He came. I called other friends. They came. They built up a team, a band actually. And everything was flowing. My pastor, she had a daughter. And just like him, they met and they were talking, all this, all that, all this, all that. After worship experience, after like a week, I was quite surprised for my pastor calling me back and asking me, actually, before when I go far, Manuel, remember, my God, that worship experience in the middle of everyone, in the midst of everyone. Huh? It was the first place I ever told people, I'm dating this guy. This minister is my fiance. Yes, to the congregation, to the whole church, to my friends. And then everyone was clapping and everything and everything and everything. And they got on them like, oh, thank you, babe. This and that, you know. But now here, he didn't speak as much. He said, oh, thank you so much, woman of God. Listen to the statement. Thank you so much, woman of God. I'm from introducing you my fiance. And here I am, I'm a woman of God. To make it interesting, after a week, my pastor calls me. He asked me, Emma, are you sure about Joseph? I said, yes, I'm sure about my ex-husband. And it was quite interesting. She sends me to her daughter. She tells me, my daughter needs to see you. So I'm like, hey girl, where are you? She's like, oh, I'm in church. Come over, I've been meaning to see you. My God. Now this is the biggest red flag of them all, and I assumed it. Actually, not even assumed. I saw it. I broke up with him. And guess what? I ended up forgiving him. Like nothing ever happened. When the daughter called me, it's like, Emma, there is some messages your fiance has been sending me. Actually, send some audio. Like, okay, can I say? The first thing I remember, the first audio kept is like, okay, man, listen to this. The audio was like, it's my fiance speaking. Hi, girl. I saw you with a very beautiful dress. Oh my God, the dresses looks awesome on you. And then, leave alone even the complimenting, but at the end of that audio, the way he changed his voice, I'm like, okay. Then she showed me another audio. The audio was like, oh, I love your vocals, but I would like you and me to meet up somewhere. We talked more about these vocals. And then there is another thing I want to talk to you about. Then the lady, she was like, what was that? What could that be? You come, we talk, I let you know. Then when this lady, she saw where this conversation is leading, she's told my ex-husband now, you know, I had your fiance, Emma, introduce you as the husband to be. What the story there? Yeah, because the way you're talking to me, you're not talking to me like someone who has been taken. You're talking to me like you're single. So what the story there? Oh my God. Yeah, you had such a thing, but where I am, I'm a single. I'm a one single person. I am here at my house. Is she here? No, we are not yet married. I haven't even engaged her yet. So I'm single. So I can mingle as much as I need. So I'm single. When I heard that audio, I remember, have you ever had your heart has fallen to your feet? I cried. I remember when that lady, she showed me the messages and the audio. I put myself together. I didn't cry. I did not cry. I'm like, okay, thank you for this. And send me those audios. Send me those audios. So she sent me the audio. Then I went home. When we had a worship experience in another church I was invited. I went to the worship experience and I remember me crying, asking God, what is this? You'll be surprised. This is the first time in my life I've ever been heartbroken. I cried in that worship experience. Going home, my eyes are red. And now, back then I was in school. I was living with my sister. So when I went, I locked myself in the bedroom. I told my sister, I have an headache. I need to rest. I cried. As if my eyes wanted to pop where? As if my eyes wanted to pop out. I cried and I'm like, no. I never expected this to go this way. I trusted this guy. Then I called him. I'm like, could we meet up tomorrow? After 3 days when I have already absorbed the whole thing. We met up in Kitengele in a certain cafe and we were talking. And I asked him one question. Have we ever flirted with any woman? He's like, no, I've never done that. I asked him, have you ever told our lady you are single? Babe, no, I can never do such a thing. You know how much I love you. I tell you, the guy was convincing me. I did not show him the audio at first. No. I decided just to hear from him. To know how far can this guy go with all these lies. Like, babe, no, I cannot lie to you. Like, I cannot tell. Right now, I'm telling everyone I'm engaged. And you know how much I'm in love with you and everything. I'm like, okay. Actually, it was close to... God. It was very close to make me think maybe this audio is not his voice. I was that close. He's convincing me in a way that if it wasn't his voice, ningesema nyewe huyu amekelewa. This is not true. So I brought the audios. He convinced me, babe, this, babe, no, I cannot do such a thing. I'm not such a man. I have my own principles. You know, all that. Then I'm like, my God. So you can lie. I'm like, okay. You listen to this. I remember he was looking at me, but he could no longer look at me. He looked down. Yeah, in shame. Then he's like, babe. We're like, okay, you go. So you're convincing me you cannot do such a thing. Then explain to me what is this. And how comes you're single? Because the last time I checked, we were a thing. We were girlfriends. We were even fiancés, actually. But now, what is this all about? Like, babe, I can explain. I'm like, please explain. I really need to hear the explanation. Because from what I'm hearing and what you can explain, I cannot really relate. But I'm intrigued. I would like to know. Whatever he was telling me, it wasn't making sense.